Alright, and here we are now getting a look at these trucks by Spin Master one by one, starting off with what's known as the Red Primer Gravedigger, and I will tell you, this thing is very, very well detailed, I will admit. The only negative that most of us have is how there isn't a full bedding over here. You can clearly see that what those four holes are punched in like that is also another spot where you can put an engine. But if you're wondering where the engine is, it's right here, right where the smokestack exhausts are. This is known as known as a front engine truck. Definitely looks a lot like how Dennis Anderson started off when one naming Gravedigger. You can see Dennis's name is right there on the driver's side of the truck. And I like how the bumper looks and everything. When you're looking on this side, this is where you don't see Dennis's name at all. Everyone knows the way Dennis Anderson created Gravedigger was by, well, putting his first name, like, right there on the side door. And then when you look here towards the back, you can see it's got the famous quote, "We ain't bad, but the bad don't mess with us." And also, truth is, that quote was only put on this in the example of a Hot Wheels Monster Jam Red Primer Gravedigger. And I think Hot Wheels really nailed it at the time by having the full truck bedding like that. And I like how the word Gravedigger like that is kind of a typewriter saying. You can also see Dennis's name on the driver's side of the truck. But the only flaw that Hot Wheels has, you can see over here where the exhaust housing or smokestacks were. They only have one of those, but Spin Master, I guess, was able to make up for the detail like that by adding two of them. I guess that's the way it's really, really meant to look like that. And you can see that there's a lot more detail on the front bumper. And you can definitely see the famous "We ain't bad, but the bad don't mess with us" quoting like that. So, this is a Spin Master Red Primer Gravedigger compared to a Hot Wheels, so let's move on to our next case is known as the Blue Panel Gravedigger. So this is definitely the original time when monster trucks were becoming popular. Oh, and I also forgot to mention while I'm showing off the Red Primer truck, you'll also notice that these trucks do not have BKT printing because we're going way back when BKT tires didn't exist, and most of the monster truck racing tires were made between Goodyear, Firestone, or even Ukraine. So I gotta say, this is really original to the Red Primer, and quite a few details that I did not see off the Hot Wheels version of this that you can also see on the driver's side of the truck, that they have Dennis's name right there. And I love the detail they put on the back doors like that. Spin Master really, really nailed it. And if you remember the Hot Wheels version of this truck, there was a lot more writing on this. But apparently Spin Master, under their license, was told that they need to get rid of it. But I do have the Hot Wheels example of this truck still. But of course what you're seeing is that it still had the straight and square body by then like that. But if you're wondering what the extra saying is, if you're able to read over here, it said Battlefield Boulevard Auto Wheelie, I think. And you can still see it says Chesapeake, Virginia, George something Grain Company, and it also says it like that too. So you see how inaccurate this looks compared to this one? But I'm sure most of you were able to see it, that this creation of blue and silver is what created Gravedigger the Legend. Of course, Gravedigger the Legend casting definitely a lot different, where it's gray out here, still has the gray stripe going down like that, with the classic blue headlights like that. So you can totally see how Gravedigger the Legend was created by then. Although what makes it different from Gravedigger the Legend is that rather than it saying Chesapeake, Virginia, and the Curtiwit Grain Company, as well as no longer on the Spin Master design, the Battlefield Boulevard auto wheelie like that. You can see it just says Gravedigger the Legend, and rather than saying that grain company, it says Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, and that's what created Gravedigger the Legend. And unfortunately, I don't have any of the Spin Master designs on Gravedigger the Legend, unfortunately, but I do look forward to getting that as part of the Retro Rebels pack, as well as in the double pack with Son of a Digger. So you can see here that when Monster Trucks was becoming popular, this is how Dennis first created Gravedigger. Then we're going to move on to how it really became popular. Which in terms of that creates to what's now known as Grandma Gravedigger. So you're definitely seeing it here. This is how Dennis Anderson created the very first ever spooky paint job like that. And you can see the words Gravedigger are stacked rather than going side to side like that. And yeah, you are seeing on the tires, BKT did not exist back then. This was still in the 1980s era. And you could see by then that the white headlights were replaced with the classic red headlights. Now I will tell you, this is definitely the real deal thing right here. Looks a lot like Gravedigger number 1 or number 2 that you would see on display over at Digger's Dungeon over in Poplar Branch, North Carolina. And of course, there would have been a lot more saying here on the back door, but all it has with the tombstones is just the Monster Jam logo and the Spin Master logo. Guess they're not allowed to have that much, and no, there's nothing fancy on top, except this Grim Reaper ghost-looking thing like that. And you could also see the ghost on the side would always look white like that. So this is exactly how you would describe the Grandma Gravedigger. Of course, if you remember the 30th and 35th anniversary encore, no, they did not really bring this creation onto a modern Gravedigger like that. This is what you saw in the encores as an example of the Hot Wheels. So I will admit, this is also a little unprototypical, the Hot Wheels version, because if you really are able to know the truth, well, this version of Grandma Gravedigger was, well, simply copied right off the Gravedigger the Legend tooling. See how much they look alike like that? Except, as you can see here, they added the ghost on the back like that. The only flaw that Spin Master has is that, as you're seeing here, what you think is mud painted on the side is really rust. You can see a little bit of rust around here and all. But apparently Spin Master here kind of messed up on the rustic job. But what does it matter? It really gives you a really good detail like that. So honestly, this design of Grandma Gravedigger is definitely based off of Kristen Anderson's 35th anniversary encore truck. The one where she did the backflip like that, along with Adam and Ryan. So yeah, this is based off of the Encore truck, which many of these Encore trucks were mostly, well, copies by then on the fiberglass paneling. They're just copies of the original Grandma Gravedigger. It's not like they're gonna bring the original Grandma Gravedigger design like that and have it, like, destroyed during an Encore. I mean, this deserves to be a display piece on Digger's Dungeon property like that. Alright, well, let's move on to the rest of our evolution of Gravedigger. So here's another famous of our Gravediggers, and it was kind of silly of us to think that this was Gravedigger 7, because Gravedigger 7 really had a different look by then. So that's why, correction, this is Gravedigger number 3, which ran in like 1996 and 1997, where the words Grave and Digger were still stacked like that, and where the ghost on the side was still white. And the thing that I really find is a gift like that is how you can see that there's a full flame wrapping right there on the front like that. And I believe that detail debuted on Mick 6's Danger Divas Gravedigger. And I hope that the rest of the Gravediggers as of this point follows on like that. So you can see this is what our modern day Gravedigger looks like. Except there really was not meant to be much details on the top like that. Except for this thing that mimics a little bit of fogginess like that. That's okay to have on top of the truck, but the real Gravedigger number 3 or number 5 had a different look. It never had Gravedigger on top. So the way we're really saying this is that this is not really the real Gravedigger number 3. We'll just say that this is more of a custom concept of what Gravedigger number 3 would have really looked like. Other than that, the detail is really, really impressive, which leaves us to our very, very last look of what Gravedigger's evolution looked like. Here it is, the Green Ghost Gravedigger, which debuted at the end of 2005 and ran through the year of 2006, and I think this Green Ghost Digger is really, really sick like that. So I'm guessing when entering the 21st century, this is when the words Gravedigger were all horizontal instead of stacked like that. And I gotta say, I love the top of this thing, where it says bad to the bone like that. And of course, I do have the Hot Wheels concept right here, of course. As you can see, it was still on the square, pointy body like that. And this is the standard edition of it, even though Hot Wheels did create what's known as the undercovers version of it. Of course, there's a big difference to the top of this saying bad to the bone, and what you're seeing here is that the whole Green Ghost thing is able to reach all the way to the end like that, where, as you can see, this part over here cuts off and doesn't even reach the side, or the back like that. And then comparing them side by side, you can see that the flame is all wavy like that. Also, if you took a very closer look here at the headlights, you could see how they're outlined in black like that, which is definitely prototypical to what this version of Gravedigger looked like when it did run. Of course, this is still the square body by then. They didn't have this kind of body yet on Hot Wheels until 2016, as many of you recall. But other than that, I really enjoy this these 5 Gravediggers. And if you're taking a closer look, you could see that the tombstones are readable. So yeah, really, really cool. So this is the Spin Master Gravedigger 5-pack Retro Edition, giving you the entire evolution and story of how Gravedigger became a very famous name like that. So this is the Spin Master version, and that's our Hot Wheels version of the evolution of Gravedigger. So there you have it. I can't wait to debut these in my next sign-up series very, very soon. So thank you very much for watching. Until next time, this is Cameron at Pinchio8, signing and pinching out. Take care.